Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube video. Today I want to share something with you guys that I feel like I've always had it in the back of my mind and I've always wanted to share it, and hopefully this helps you guys as well. One of the best parts of this career is being able to be in Italy, because right now I have the most amazing view. So I am in Positano, Italy, and it is such a magical place. And that is honestly the best part of this career. Being able to take your laptop and bring it wherever you want in the world. That is the beauty of this job. But honestly, Italy and I have history, and we go way back to 2021. When I first came here, I was a 21-year-old girl, and this was around the time where I had made my first million, but I was still adjusting strategies, because in 2021, I wasn't really enjoying Positano as I should have been. I know that I have gone through very different eras, and I've actually come here for around 5 times. I believe this is my 5th time, but there's always that one trip to Italy in 2021 that I will never forget. It was when I lost $52,000 on mRNA. And during that period in time, I was glued to the screens. I was very emotionally volatile, and it's almost as if I didn't really know what I was doing, but at the same time, I was like doing everything all at the same time. So I was trying to travel and trade, size up, maximize on an insane opportunity on mRNA. And so it was like the octopus in me just came out, and that was emotionally draining. And since then, I feel like I've had this love-hate relationship with Italy, because I remember it being so beautiful, but I also remember it being some of the darkest times in my life. Because as I mentioned in some of my previous videos, when I was facing that burnout, this is where it all started. That $50,000 loss on mRNA started a bunch of other losses as well, but it started the burnout phase where I was just trading very big size and I didn't really know how to go from there. So I'm gonna share in this video how I got from 2021, very stressed, very emotionally volatile, to now making $500 today and not being emotionally stressed. And now I'm actually making this video for you guys completely happy, ready to share all of the experiences that I've had, and going from emotionally vulnerable Mari to free Mari. So let's get started. I feel like there's this common misconception in trading where everybody thinks that making $600,000 in 1 month and making $100,000 in 1 month and just sizing up and exponentially growing is easy. Or it's something that can go through and just everybody's just so happy, and everybody looks up at the person and says, oh wow, like they have everything I've ever wanted. Everything is so amazing. Like that is exactly what I want to do. But then there's also that side that not a lot of people share, that I honestly have experienced, and I know that other traders have also experienced. It is how difficult it actually is to make it there, and how addictive it can feel to get out of that same situation. So for example, you start sizing up, you're exponentially growing, you're going fantastic, and everything is really good. And then there comes to a point where your strategy slows down, and now you're still stuck in that same mindset where you're comparing yourself to the month before and you're saying, why am I not doing the same? Or why is the first quarter of this year not doing as good as last year? Now it's that comparison because you've reached such highs, and it's like you are so confused as to why you're not doing the same thing again. And that happens to absolutely everybody. I was very addicted to the markets. I didn't know how to separate and balance life, because that was the first time me coming to Positano, Italy. I take a $50,000 loss and it's almost as if it ruined my whole trip, because what did I just lose? That is so much money. But during that time, I didn't realize, and I didn't have that perspective that I didn't have to push it so hard. And if I could go back, I feel like I would still do it, because that created the person that I am today. And everybody goes through different eras. I had to go through a lot of different eras to come to consistent Mari. That is who I like to be. Pushing yourself through such emotional roller coasters and making so much money actually does come at a cost. And you can go through it. Making money is good, and it also allows a lot of freedom. But I feel like during that time, it cost you something. It's gonna cost you either your life outside of trading or the family you have around you. Because I remember even my family during that time was like, we don't even see you, we don't hang out with you, all you're doing is just trading. at the end of the day, I didn't want to hear anybody, or I didn't want to see any lights, or I didn't even want to eat because my appetite was gone. Yes, it's really good because you can push yourself so hard and just be that person that you want to be, but realize it also is difficult, and you need to learn to balance all of that in order to make it for the long term. Because what I've learned throughout these years in trading is you can have a lot of consistent years, and then one year is just going to be like a blow up year, and you're going to be like, oh wow, that's amazing. For me, it was that time, but now I thrive in consistency, and I love the thought of making 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. But back then, I guess I was still kind of gaining that perspective from life, and I was still stuck in the ways of I need to make the most possible every single month. And I didn't realize that everything in the market has a cycle. And once the cycle stops, you have to stop with it too. So I didn't know how to adapt. And all I was doing was just like forcing trades, revenge trading, trying to be that same person that I was January and February of that year. I kept pushing myself to be that trader. The market just wasn't there for me. And OTCs also had slowed down. In hindsight, it's a lot easier to say, why did I do that? But during that time, I was still stuck in the January and February craze. I'm like, I just made almost 700,000. Why am I now losing? And now I don't know what I'm doing, because you need to learn to adapt with the markets as well. And instead of adapting, I was making it worse for myself. And every single month, it's almost as if it kept getting worse and worse. And I started losing that discipline and motivation because it no longer was discipline. Now it was more like that emotional stress and emotional roller coaster. So now I wasn't really trading, and I wasn't really thinking the way that I always think. I deviated from my path. Here is the long path, right? This is where you have risk management, where you have good rules, where you understand yourself, you stop and you adapt to the certain market environment. This is the path. This is where I started going. And that's where a lot of people can start going too, because we're all deviating. Human nature doesn't want to be wrong. We also don't want to take bigger losses than we have to. And we try to make things back. Instead of just stopping and leaving the trade or leaving the month or adapting to the market and using smaller size, we deviate to the emotional path. Here is the risk management path with the proper rules, with the proper setup, just learning to adapt and using small size with new strategies. Now this path is the emotional one, and that is what I was taking, and that is why it led me to the emotional burnout, and then it also led me to bigger losses, and it led me to not adapt. So I was trading based on what I knew. I wasn't trading based on what the market was telling me to. And instead of allowing that vacation to feel like a vacation, to feel like we are so proud of ourselves, we have done so well, let's just take a step back and enjoy the moment, I was forcing it in revenge trading and making it a lot worse for myself and for the people around me as well, because it was also a team loss. Other people were also losing on that same tickers. It's not fun, but I feel like we have all adapted. Because now, 5 years later, it did take a bit, but like now most of the people here also don't like to trade on vacation. So it's not just me who learned that lesson. It's also a lot of people here where you just have to adapt and understand what level you can push yourself to without it leading to complete destruction. It takes a bit to learn that. It takes a lot of different eras. And for all of the beginner traders, like right now watching me, and you feel a little lost and you feel like you're just studying so hard and you don't know where you're getting at, just learn to balance everything around you, and then things will start to flow a little bit better. Yes, in the beginning, you do have to put in as much time and effort to learn the markets, but don't let it lead to burnout. Think of the long term, which is where I messed up. I wasn't thinking of the long term of Mari. I was thinking of the right now. So we can get so stuck in like a 1 day, 1 minute candle is like trading talk. 1 day, 1 minute instead of going max. Where are you going to be in 5, 10, 15 years? And what is the process that you can build that's sustainable for that whole time? Because the more emotional that you get and the more bad habits you learn, in 5 years, you might not even be there. Think of a sustainable process that you can do without burning yourself out and not exaggerating the process. Exaggerate the studying part and understanding yourself and reviewing and all of the plans, but not the money part. Once you mix money and emotions and then the market, it's like boom. It creates an explosion. Your brain doesn't know what to do with that. Build a process that's sustainable, that can be sustainable in the long run. So you don't have to face the same things that I face. Moral of the story, you can change location, but if your psychology is unhealthy, it'll follow you everywhere you go. I was unhealthy from the beginning at home. It followed me to Italy, and I'm sure it would have followed me everywhere if I kept trading like that. So why is Italy still on my mind? Italy represents freedom, but then it also came together to a place where it represented failure. It represented the version of me that I don't want to repeat again, or the version of me that didn't know how to adapt to the markets, was undisciplined, inconsistent, and honestly, risk management was out the window. I was trading with a $700,000 account then. I have a max stop loss now of 2% per day, no matter what. Back then, if I had a 2% stop loss, which I didn't because I wasn't following my rules to a T. I didn't have the max stop loss engraved in me. If I would have just taken my 2% loss back then, I would have only lost $14,000 on the day. Theoretically, my year would have still been fine, a $14,000 loss. Yes, it would have been a loss, but it would have been acceptable based on the setup that I was trying. And a 2% loss would have been a max stop loss. So I would have never lost $52,000 ever because I didn't have those rules in place and I wasn't consistent. It brings me back to like a moment where I was, to be completely honest with you guys, gambling. I feel like a lot of traders will be like, these are my rules, but then when they're actually in the trade, they'll change them, or they'll say, I'm gonna give it a little more wiggle room, or they have a manual stop loss. Now, my rules are in place to protect me from situations like those, so they never happen again. But again, it had to happen to me for me to change completely. Now I trade with a smaller account. Now I have more risk management. I have all my rules in place, and then I'm also able to be consistent and disciplined. So I feel like I'm in track. I can control myself. But back then it was almost as if I was out of control and I didn't know how to stop it. Whereas now that I've created this process, it is so much easier to trade from anywhere because now I know I'm not going to be in this emotional snowball. And yes, here and there, I'm going to have situations where I'm going to get a lot more emotional than I have to, but it didn't have to be that big. And I've really realized that being a trader, you do have to love it, but you don't have to be sickly obsessed with it. You don't have to turn it into something unhealthy, because yes, in trading you can make a lot of money, but you can also lose a lot of money. Being consistent, being balanced is definitely the way to go, because this is one of the best jobs that you can have. I am trading from a beautiful place, from a laptop. I am happy. I trade for an hour, 2 hours a day. Yes, that took a lot of errors and a lot of work to get here, but that is the beauty of it. You can turn it into whatever you want to turn it. But that is why I started this YouTube channel. It is to share my experiences, to share everything that I've been through, so that you guys can learn how I came to this process, because trust me, this is the best process to learn. Learning risk management, consistency, learning how to manage your emotions, journaling, reviewing, studying, and then also making $500, $1,000, $2,000, and then maybe here and there $5,000, but you're not going to get out of control, because people can teach you how to make money, but how do you lose money? That's the most important part of this. It is what you do when you're in a loss and how you control yourself. That is the only thing that's going to save you long term. So now I want to talk about how my trading has changed from 2021 to now. I feel like for the longest time I was trading P&L wise. I saw everybody around me making so much money, trading so many setups, and I feel like I'm lagging behind if I don't do the same thing. Instead of trading my P&L and trading how much money I can make, how much can I size up this month to make X, Y, and Z, now I am all about process. I created rules. I created consistency. I created risk management so that I never have to go through that moment in time where I was burnt out and unhappy with the best job in the world. Now it is all about process. If I take a loss, it's fine. If I followed my rules, it's fine. If I didn't make over $10,000 on the month, that's fine. If I had a 3-4 day losing streak, that's fine. Because all I care about is following my process and not about how much money I can make, which used to be that exact way. So how has my trading changed over the years? I have finally figured out a process that works for a balanced lifestyle as well. I don't have to go through such intensity in order to still have a full-time job and still have a lot of consistency in the markets. I went from like intense, volatile, highs and lows, roller coaster to the consistent process that I know that is going to be sustainable for the years to come. Here are 5 things that I did through the past 3 to 4 years that have completely changed my trading. Number 1, trading less. I used to try so many different strategies because I was just so focused in how can I maximize all of my opportunities instead of just focusing and adapting on the market. If my strategy stops, I try something new, but with smaller size, and I focus on just that one strategy. So when the OTC stopped, I started trying a lot of different strategies. I even started short selling. So I was short selling, I was longing small caps, I was short selling small caps, and then I was also trying large caps on top of that, and then also trying options. What was so wrong with that? Nothing is going to stick if you don't give one strategy enough of a chance for it to actually work. You need enough data so you know that this actually works for you or that it doesn't work for you. And you're not going to know in 2, 3, 4 months. You might know after a year, maybe 2 years of trying the same thing, but you need a constant variable. You know, from school, you need something constant so that you know for sure after trying it a lot of times if this is actually going to work for you. So I was trying so many different things, and then I realized what I was doing because I had done that in the beginning as well. It's almost as if I went from making a lot to then going back to the beginning stages where I have to find myself again and find that consistency again, because suddenly everything that I had known for a year and a half was out the window. I went back to the beginning and I said, I'm going to start trading less. I focused on one strategy and I started trading less. So now all I'm doing is taking 1 to 2 setups a day. That is pretty much it. I am done after 2 hours, but I'm only taking 1 trade, 2 trades max, and that is after I make my watch list and realize what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And then I trade just the one setup that I know works best. And if there is nothing, I'm not going to force a trade. That is the number one thing that I have done that has saved me from forcing trades and revenge trading and trading after 11. It is just trading the setup that I am most comfortable with for the day, and that's it. Number 2, creating rules but actually implementing them. It is like writing them down on a wall where I know that I'm never going to deviate from them, because you can have rules and you can know I'm going to stop out here, I'm going to stop out there, and say at 9:30 you know exactly where your stop is. But once you have money in line and then your emotions come in, sometimes that idea of a manual stop loss is no longer valid, because now you're giving it more wiggle room and you start believing in the stock more than you should. Stocks should not be something that you believe in. They should be something that you can detach from and follow your plan. Now I have my number 1 rule, which is 2% max stop loss for the day, and then I'm done. After I started implementing that, I did start seeing that my losses started coming down significantly, because now I only allow myself to lose 2%, and then after that, I don't allow myself to trade anymore. So that has been one of my biggest rules. And again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I would have never lost $52,000 if I would have had that 2% loss in my broker. You could literally text your broker and tell them, once I hit that certain number, get me out of the stock. I'm not doing a mental stop loss anymore. I'm doing a manual. A few minutes before 9:30, once I have all of my plans, once I know where my stop is going to be, I'll take the trade, but then immediately I'll set a stop loss at whatever price I want to get out at, and that's it. I'm hands out, because I don't want to change my stop loss and I don't want to move it. I will give it wiggle room on the trade. So I'll have the rule of 2% max stop loss on the day. That is the only rule that doesn't change. But sometimes per trade, I'll have the 1% rule. That means I can still take 2 full losses on the day and I won't be out. Say if I am on the 1%, I might give it some time and then see what happens. But the 2% rule will always be there, and that has saved me from so many losses. Number 3, journaling everything. Ever since I started my Discord channel back in 2023, everything has changed because I started writing everything down. And now I know all of the mistakes that I was making, I was able to recognize them because I was writing it all down. I used to only have a spreadsheet of like the trades that I was taking, and then the entry, the exit, the percent gain, the percent loss, and what strategy I was trading, which is very important. But in 2023, I realized that I also had to track my emotions and how I was treating a specific ticker in a specific setup. Now in my Discord channel that I have shared, I have journal tab, and in that journal, I'm gonna write down what I'm feeling throughout the day. I'm gonna start writing down, I got in this ticker here, and this is what I'm thinking, and this is what I'm feeling, and I'm feeling like I want to trade it again, but I can't because my loss stopped me out. Once I started writing everything down, I recognized when I was gonna start revenge trading, and I would keep trading. But when I started writing it down, I'm like, oh my God, I know the moment. I just ignore it completely because now I'm believing in the stock and I'm like, oh, I can't be wrong. Journaling and tracking down everything that I'm feeling has been a complete life changer. Again, because now I know everything that I'm feeling and I know the mistakes that I'm making so that it doesn't happen again. Number 4, smaller size. I used to trade with accounts that were very big, and yes, during that time it helped me because sizing up during really good markets helps. Like right now I'm building consistency, and then eventually my setup that I have been trading all of these years explodes again. I will size up because now I have the right habits for that. But right now all I'm focused is in consistency. But when it comes back, I know that I'm gonna be protected. I sized down my accounts when I came back from that emotional burnout, and then I came back to trading again, and now I had more clarity. So I started a $30,000 account, and that is all I keep it at. If I make money or if I lose money, I still keep it at 30. So say I turn it into 40 in the next month, I'll go back to 30, and I'll just leave it at 30 because that allows me more clarity. I don't know why I didn't do this before. It would have avoided all of my losses again. But I did need the capital when I needed to size up, but then after that, I should have been able to adapt quicker. Now, I know if I ever have that type of market where I'm trading something so consistent and then it explodes, I can grow my account, but then bring it back down to 30 and adapt much quicker because I learned all of these lessons throughout the years on how to adapt in the best way and not put yourself in situations where you're losing more than 2% of your account, because that will destroy accounts, and it will also destroy your confidence and the emotional discipline that you have going on. Keeping the account small actually made a complete 180 in my trading. Now I'm able to think before doing versus thinking that I have such a big cushion in my account, so I'm able to take bigger losses. The more money that you have in your account, the bigger losses you can take. If you have a $1 million account, your risk tolerance is going to go up a little bit because now you see a bigger number. But if you have $30,000 account, $20,000 would be like your account is gone pretty much. But if you have a $1 million account, $20,000 is not going to make a huge difference. So then 20,000 can eventually become a much bigger loss. So now if I'm trading 30,000, I know that my risk is going to be smaller, but I'm also going to be thinking clearer, especially if all of my rules are in place. And for the last one, this is the biggest lesson that I've learned throughout all of these years. Emotional discipline matters more than strategy. I've tried so many different strategies, but the biggest losses never come from any strategy. They always come because I make emotional decisions. An emotional decision is revenge trading, not cutting a loss, not having max stop, and not following your rules. All of my biggest losses have all come from some of these 4 reasons. They don't come from the strategy itself, because the strategy is just how a stock trades and what patterns the stock is following. For example, you're trading the strategy and you can take a small loss, but the emotional discipline is what creates a small loss into a big blow up. Why? Because you're emotional in the trade. Now, when you don't have emotional discipline, that is what's gonna create, say, like a $2,000 loss into a $20,000 loss for no reason. And trust me, I've done that too many times. I have realized throughout the years that it doesn't matter what strategy you're taking. If you don't have emotional discipline and risk management, no matter how good your strategy is, you're gonna wipe out months or weeks for no reason. If you have emotional discipline and risk management, that is when you're gonna learn that any strategy could work. With the proper risk management, you're allowed to exponentially grow it or consistently grow it over time as well. Right now, I am doing consistent growing, but if the strategy that I am trading now keeps working, I'm gonna be able to size it up, and now I have the right habits for that. If I don't have that emotional discipline right now, I'm not gonna be able to be consistent because I'm gonna have 10 consistent days and I'm gonna wipe them all out. And if I were to size the strategy up, all of these bad habits and that emotional undiscipline is gonna wipe all of whatever I did. And that is so not worth it, and it's gonna give you so many bad losses. So emotional discipline matters more than strategy. Trust me when I tell you that. What does trading from Italy look like? This is like a mini day in the life in Positano. You wake up at around 8:30, 9 a.m. So market opens at 3:30 p.m. here in Italy. All of the foods here are so amazing because everything is locally grown. I have been eating so much here, like, oh my God, it has been amazing. So wake up, have breakfast at around 8 a.m. and then we've done a lot of hiking. The hike that we did the other day, we saw a snake. I'm like, I'm ready to jump off the cliff, whatever. I didn't jump off the cliff, but I was scared. It's like hiking, and then we came back, ate lunch, and we walked the streets for a little bit. Then it was time for market open. Now that I have my consistent plan and my new process, new Mari, I have been trading smaller and also trading while traveling. So today I traded SBFM. I took it around the 190s. I sold in the 220s and I made around $500. I was risking like 10 cents to make 30 cents. So it was fantastic. And I wasn't stressed one bit because I know that I was trading smaller size and I only took it because I felt comfortable with it. That really, really helps with trading while traveling and also trading just in general. I want to show you guys how I made $600 on SBFM yesterday trading from a beautiful view. When I logged in the morning, I saw this as a percent gainer, and honestly, I just wanted to trade to stay consistent. So I saw this building a channel here and here, and I saw the 2 psychological level was important. So all I wanted was for it to hold and risk small. I was risking around 10 cents, and I wanted to sell in the 220s because of the resistance that I had around here. So I ended up making around 30 cents a share and was risking 10 cents. And again, it is such a beautiful place. So all I wanted was just to be consistent, and I want to look for a strategy that I can repeat over time every single day. The more consistent that you are, the better the habits are going to be for the futures. Creating that process, and the process for me looks like trading smaller, making $500, risking 10 cents, making 30, and then eventually if I ever want to size the strategy up, I know what it's like to have the proper risk to reward. And then once I'm done with the trading day, then we get ready and then we go have lunch and then we go have dinner. If you guys don't know Tim Sykes, I'm gonna show you guys today. I'm just gonna have like a cute little like clip of all of the dishes that he ordered. I'm gonna show you guys what he ordered today. It is so amazing. It is unbelievable. He'll order almost like the whole menu. He's the most generous person ever. So we love eating in Italy because he also like has gone all around the world and he knows the best food spots. And then that's it. You can either walk down to the beach or get some gelato at night and then just go to bed. Perfect day. I actually think that trading in Italy makes me a calmer trader because I'm allowed to have all of the morning routine, eat well, trade smaller, and then be done and then just go to the beach and just walk. It's just such a beautiful life. But of course, with every positive, there's going to be some negatives as well. The reality of trading abroad, the internet. In every restaurant, you have to ask for the internet connection because nothing will load and nothing will send. And even here, today I was trading SBFM and I had to pull up a different platform on my phone because my computer wasn't working. At 9:30 a.m. it started lagging. So it also made my execution slower. Now I had to like create the new order again. The time that I could have used on my proper internet connection at my house, I would have had no problems with just sending it through. But now I had to create a whole new order, a whole new plan, start a whole new max stop loss. It costed me like another 10 cents. Instead of having a 182 entry, I ended up taking a 190 entry because I had to pull it up on my phone. Another thing is we can't really manage our routines here. We kind of just have to go with the flow of what everybody else is doing and not exactly like make the plans ourselves. So that can be a little bit challenging. But again, we are on vacation, so that creates balance, and that is beautiful to also spend time with friends and share other people's routines as well. But I feel like here we have no routine and it doesn't really depend on us. So that's a little tough too. Another thing would be the setup. I was first trading from the bedroom and it was really uncomfortable. I was like on my laptop. I'm like, I can't trade. So I ended up having to go upstairs, which also has a little bit better connection. But again, my stuff still lagged. The last one would be I've had to take a lot of days off of trading because me and Jack have wanted to do more outdoorsy stuff. So I feel like traveling and trading, it also brings in a lot of days where you have to take them off no matter what. And last week we had a lot of amazing opportunities that I would have loved to trade, but I wasn't able to. I'm not necessarily trying to turn the vacation into a marathon. Sometimes I can't trade, sometimes I can't go to the gym, sometimes I can't eat healthy, I eat sugar, everything is different here. But that is also the reality. It's not completely perfect, but I'll tell you what's perfect. The cute little cars that we've been driving around, the electric cars, they're so tiny and cute. So I guess any routine, whatever, because we have electric cars.